Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Isabelle Amigues, your friendly rheumatologist and host of the UnabridgedMD Podcast, where we provide you hope driven by science. We are continuing our series of hopeful stories from real patients. And the idea of those stories is to share the journey and the resilience and the vulnerability of our patients. Today, I am joined by a very dear patient of mine, Jay, who is willing to share his story. And hopefully, you can find some excitement and hope when you're listening to his journey. Jay, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's always great to share the message and give that hope. I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah, well, I'm I'm gonna let you tell us your journey. How you were, how this all started, and where you are now. And you know, let us just listen to your story, which is a beautiful one.
Yeah. Well, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis back in it was June of 2018. My wife and I just moved to a new house. I was overexerting myself doing some moves and some other things, and all of a sudden my joints just started swelling up. I couldn't bend, I couldn't lay down, it was just excruciating pain. It felt like I was just, had needles everywhere. Uh, Spent a little time with just trying to do some, massage therapy, some physical therapy, and whatever else that, wasn't really figured out until about 2 months later that I actually had rheumatoid arthritis. So it was excruciating. It was probably the lowest part of my life where I didn't have hope. I didn't have direction. And then when I got the diagnosis, I was a little bit confused about it. One is that I always thought this happened to people in their sunset years, their elderly years. It wasn't for youthful people, even though I'm, in the middle age of my life, but it wasn't for younger people to acquire this. Um, just went through and started doing some medical treatments, trying to figure out which medications helped me, which ones didn't, what was going on. I was on indomethacin. I was on a bunch of drugs that was getting to the point where I was losing even more hope because I had to spend 12 weeks to find a drug that helped me and everything else. Um, the surprising point of it is this is before my introduction with Isabelle and her practice. Surprising part is that there was a lot of, or I shouldn't say a lot, there was a lack of information on what RA is, what you can do with it, how to treat yourself, how to understand the process, how to maintain, and so forth. So there's a lot of self-discovery on it, and it's one of those things that being able to sit back and reflect and find a support group to have different questions answered or just share your experiences with others, a wonderful thing. One of the things I did come across is and I encourage anybody that's in the same avenue is to talk with Isabelle about the the options that you have. One of the ones that was a night and day changer for me is I got introduced to a naturopath, and the naturopath said, let's start holistically aligning your body and doing some things to help your GI tract, help your body heal itself, on top of things. Because the course of the medications I was going through, it literally just wrecked me because everything was just attacking me versus trying to help me. So they started on, and it was a life changer for me. It was, it wasn't an easy hill to climb. When they say, hey, you got to, go into an elimination diet where you can't just, just have chicken and lettuce, it gets pretty frustrating. But the healing powers of what it did allowed me to really turn this thing around and not consider it as a disease or as a medical hindrance for me. It was more of just hey, I gotta look positively at my lifestyles. If I treat myself well, then I will feel well. It's that body's a temple, and it just depends on how you worship that temple, for that aspect. So really like the journey. And then with what Dr. Meague's office shared with us is the way of having that positive outlook, how to maintain, how to understand that it's not just about taking another pill. It's not about another shot. It's about, looking at what you're doing with your life and enjoying the things that are going around in it. And it's not having it. How do I want to phrase it? It's like, it's not, you don't want to sit and wallow. She gives you the encouragement to continue on and say, you know what? I got a setback yesterday, but that setback was because I had one of the things that my body reacts to from an allergy or an immune response. And then it makes you sit and reflect and say, oh, that immune response is nightshades or whatever, that you can continue on with that process. One of the biggest things I like is that we have a conversation at every one of our appointments is just, how do I maintain this long term? And how do I control this? Because like many of you are probably looking at going, I don't want to do meds. I don't want to do these things long term. And the positive thing that is about it is that it's all in how you look at it. Because yes, you can tune these things. You can create a good lifestyle. You can build yourself and position yourself in ways that'll keep this from happening. So your flare-ups are farther and farther away from each other. Hopefully that helps. My biggest thing that I like with it is that as soon as I started understanding what was happening to me, it really helped me be proactive on how to fix myself.
So there is something, thank you so much, first of all, for sharing your journey. And I think, what's so obvious in your story is how you were doing really well. And then somehow out of the blue, not so well at all. And as you said, like at one of the lowest moment of your life, right? What I wonder, and if you can share this, is how has this brought of good into your life? Like, could you share with us? I know, because I know you, right? I know that you're actually better now than you ever were.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good statement.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, if you had to share like all the good that this has brought to you, what would you say to the person that was from 2018 who I didn't know that? Like, if you had to say to the younger self that you were, what would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Knowing what I know right now, the first thing is the old cliches that come out there where they say, stop and smell the roses, listen to your body, listen to your mind, and what there's telltale signs that I wasn't listening to. It's like, hey, if I just work, another 2 hours today, I can get that stuff done so it doesn't loom on me. But my body's like, you got to stop. You can't do this because you're just going to fall down. You're going to have an accident or whatever. So my insight from this was just listening to myself. And, it's those cliches. I feel like I'm doing a couple of them, the body's the temple, stop and smell the roses. The parts that keep it going is it's like your determination of, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be that way. And finding out that you have control of it. I don't want to get too preachy or anything like that, but it's one of those things that you can course correct yourself. You just have to have the awareness of where your course is.
Yeah, I really like that. I will just share a little phrase that my friend told me about cliche, because I was like, I'm such a cliche at my midlife crisis, and it's like, there's a reason why they're called cliches, that they're very common, and it's not negative in any way, shape, or form. And I was like, oh, okay. So I really share with you the idea of a body as a temple and the agency that we have. What I find, so this is you came from an interesting background, because you came from the naturopathic, right? It's your naturopath that sent you to me. And what I would like you to maybe share is how you went from being, all natural, naturopathic care to, I'm going to give Western medicine, this is how I call my medicines, a shot, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a pun non intended. But, how, like, what is it that made you feel, okay, maybe there is, something that I need to do here, more than just naturopathic care?
Uh, there's a couple things. I kind of cliff noted a little bit of my summary is that I did Western medicine before on my first treatment, and I felt like the Western doctor that I was working with at the time was just doing, here, try this and call me in 12 weeks. Try this, call me in 12 weeks. I started getting rashes. I started getting welts, and I was having heart problems, and I'm reading all the side effects of cancer and everything like that. And I was like, no, this isn't the way to do it. I was talking to a peer of mine at work, and she was having some similar but not the same type of medical things. And she's like, I had a naturopath, so I want you to try this, give them a call, see what they can do. So I kind of pendulum swinged when I went to the naturopath. I was still trying to maintain on some Western medications just to make sure that I could stop progression while I was going through the naturopath. And I found that I was uh, I was having better responses with the naturopath versus Western medicine. So it went to more of, 20% Western, or excuse me, 20% naturopath, 80% Western, and it went the other way of 80% naturo, 20% Western. And that's when I got introduced to you and your practice and being able to say there is a marriage between those two. There is an alignment that Western medicine can help with certain things while naturopath helps the body contend the both avenues. And the greatest part of it is that having that capability to say that, you can only get so far with the holistic way. You need to have that little extra encouragement was when we got introduced. It's the old adage. It's like, you got a headache, take some aspirin. Well, what's aspirin? It's a tree bark from way back when. It's just how that Western modification was how it kept you going forward.
I love this, and I fully endorse this. It's there's no reason to choose one or the other when you can do both.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how I see it, and I'm a big fan of naturopathic care. I'm a big fan of holistic care. Um, I do think that whatever we eat, has a potential of healing us or hurting us. It's just very hard, especially in the US, to eat healthy or healthier, and so we have to also give ourselves grace, because if you're constantly invited to a barbecue, it's a little harder to eat healthy. Yeah, it's a beautiful. Is there, where would you say you are right now?
If I do the funny side of things, I'm in my living room. I would say that it's always a journey, but I would say that I'm in
Sorry, it just hits
full
me.
remission. What's that?
Sorry, it just hit me what you were saying. Like,
Oh.
if I'm doing I didn't realize it was a joke with how dry you were. And I was like, why is he sharing this? And it took me 5 minutes to understand. So everyone, if you have a joke to tell me, understand I'm very slow.
Sorry, I'll try to keep it all serious.
No. This was I love it.
Yeah. But I would say I'm in full remission. It's one of those things that you still got to check and balance, but I would say I'm in full remission and really maintaining where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is important to realize. That's such a huge message here. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, we can get you to remission, and I think that that's extremely important, because some patients are okay with just being okay, and we're aiming for full remission. We're really talking about full remission. Not all rheumatologic disorders can get to full remission. But RA is definitely we can get you to full remission, and we should always get there, and we should not content ourselves with 80% or 70%. And that's a huge message that I really want to share, and hopefully that's a hopeful message. Jay, do you have any last thoughts that you want to share with someone that might be at the beginning of this journey?
Yeah, I guess the last thoughts that I'd say is that don't let it get you down. I know that from just a physical pain, it's hard to comprehend, but there is hope. There is very positive individuals like Dr. Amigues and her office and everybody else that are dedicated to getting you feel better. There is hope. It's not a death sentence, so to speak. Be proactive, be positive, listen to yourself, and know that you know how to fix yourself if you just listen.
Yeah, I love this. You know how to fix yourself if you just listen. I love this. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing. I think, really this journey from having such a devastating symptoms and not knowing what it is to how do I make it work for me in this environment? What do I do for me? What works for me? So thank you so much for sharing this. And to the listeners, if you have a rheumatologic condition, if you have joint pain, if you have any sort of feeling that you may have an autoimmune disorder, contact our office. We offer a free consultation with the team so we can see if if we can help you, and we would love to. My goal in life is to put as many patients in remission as possible. I absolutely adore rheumatology. It's in my bone. It's my life. I love it. And I would be honored to take you as a patient the same way that I have taken Jay. So come on in. And I will see you next week. And thank you so very much.